the cooking was another one, which is like, everybody comes to Nepal and they love to eat the Nepali food, but they never get a chance to actually experience, what it takes to make the food. And hence the cooking thing came on, which was also very interesting. So I'm Raj Gyawali, and I started Social Tours about 11 years ago. And the history behind is quite simple. We had back in the day, I used to work in trade, and we had a school group that we brought in from England, who came in and did tourism, and also we did a little fundraising and helped an eye camp, as well as build a hostel. So around that time I was thinking that this is social tourism, and that's where the whole concept of social tours came. I was in trade, and the bottom fell out of the manufacturing industry, and for me it was a natural extension to just move into tourism, because I was still selling something, and the beauty of it being that the thing that you sell never is goes away, so you keep it and you sell it over and over again. So it was kind of interesting. But I was always interested in development and business, and hence the whole principles were based on responsibility and how to influence development through tourism. And hence the concept of social tourism always flowed in a philosophy of corporate social responsibility, and to prove that you can actually run a company that is responsible but is profitable. So the only difference between what I was doing before social tours was that it was purely social, the tourism that I ever touched on, but now it is profitable as well as social. And that is, I think, basically the philosophy behind it. Yeah, I think some of the biggest influences out there has been that in at least 13 or 14 years in Nepal, there's statistics that proves that the average spend is actually just gone up by a few dollars. So this is a really strange phenomenon, and I think it is happening only because we have no differentiation of products. So basically there's more and more competition on the same products, and hence the only people who gain are the travelers, but the economy is not really benefiting out of it. So we got in strongly to try and diversify the product and try and build and to make a bigger pie so that everybody can take a share of it. So if you look at the cooking course that we're doing, for example, now it is starting to be copied 2 years down the line, and other people are also enjoying that pie, right? So it gives people more chances to make money. The other side of it was that there was always this strong principle that we had, that the money has to spread in the economy. And so getting more and more different aspects of tourism in has been very important part of that. So cooking was one, pottery, so you try and take people into different areas so those people can also make money out of tourism. Because otherwise there's always a sense of anger that comes when people look at the tourism sector, because it's only the Annapurnas, people in the Annapurnas or people in the Everest who can go and live in New York, whereas the rest of us have to live in poverty. That doesn't make any sense, because Nepal is beautiful all through. So spreading it out was very important. So all the trips that we developed, or the treks we developed, we started working on trying to go into more offbeat. And also the experience is better, our niche gets better, and that's how we see it. I was involved in pottery, in handicrafts before, and with this handicraft experience also, I always wanted to dabble a little bit in the cultural side of handicrafts, and hence the pottery tour was something that came out of that. I knew the potters in Timi. I knew that this traditional skill that they had has been converted into a modern commercial art form. So they are supplying nowadays, people, designers in Italy, in the US, which is a very nice way of saving tradition, because traditional pottery is not used in Nepal anymore as we modernize, and that's quite normal. But they have preserved the art form by actually taking it international, which is quite an interesting phenomenon, which could easily be a tourism product. And that's where we said that let's take that, because it's a traditional skill, and it's very interesting for people to experience that. And it has been quite successful. We have the Working Nepali, for example, which is a trip which looks at how lifestyles are changing in the suburbs of Kathmandu, which is also quite an interesting thing, because that happens everywhere in the world. And I think when people have a chance to compare what happens in their part of the world with what's happening in this part of the world, I think there's a modern understanding of how the country is changing, which is an interesting product, I think. So we are looking at even the modern side of how change is happening in Nepal, where we even incorporate things like going to a jazz concert in Kathmandu, or so not only the traditional but also seeing the modern side of Nepal is also Nepal. It is also interesting. It is comparable. So when you come to Nepal, you don't always have to go into the past or go into poverty, but also experience what Nepal really is at this point in time. So I think that is where we are really focusing. The other thing that we're doing right now is taking mountain biking and taking it to another level. What we think is the trails that we have are quite amazing. There's no doubt about it. And traditionally, mountain biking has been something that was done very actively and by adventurers. And we have a lot of mountain biking that goes into upper areas, goes into high altitude. You get the more crazy mountain biking that happens. But we think that actually mountain biking is one of the avenues we can use to actually spread the money in the mid hills and in the lower Tarai, in the upper Tarai, because the trails there are amazing. Nobody ever goes there, and mountain biking takes you places where other people don't. So it actually helps spread, and it also gives a very interesting look at local life, and it can be done actually quite soft. So we're actually developing trips that are that you actually travel from destination to destination, stay in beautiful places and beautiful resorts, swimming pool, nice fridge full of beer type of arrangements, but you actually mountain bike around and you do these wonderful rides that Nepal has to offer. And I think that is another little niche that we are carving right now, which is quite interesting.